official, my passport has unfortunately been clipped. I just got it renewed the other day, so until my new one comes, I am officially unable to fly for the next 2 weeks. So instead of doing my typical like tech travel bags, which I know that you guys love, I thought I would do like my EDC bag, what I bring here to the studio, what I do in and around home, because I did get a new one. So we'll put this off to the side. So this is a new backpack from Grams 28. You've seen their stuff before. I typically travel with them, but this is their new 152 transit bag. You can actually see the number right there. And the big thing, which I really love about this, which I didn't have before in their other packs, this fully opens all the way around and you can access all the stuff in the main compartment. And this is literally what I took with me today. We've got my lunch, my camera, my water bottle, a speaker. This is like actually my daily EDC. And like I said, this is their 151 stealth backpack, which I've used and I've had for a while. It's still a great backpack. They still sell it. I think this is great if you're a student that just needs to slot in, say, like your laptop, your books. If you want to kind of access this compartment here, it stops at this point because that's where the zipper stops. And I feel being in the content space, just accessing the main compartment, since I do have some, cameras, larger pieces of equipment, this is actually a lot easier to access. So it's actually dope that Grams 28 has created something like this. I will say they are on the pricier end. So these are, around that $800-900 mark. It's expensive for a bag, but I think where this slots in is in that like premium lifestyle space. If you look at like designer backpacks, if you say look at anything with like a name on it, like LV, Dior, Bottega, if you're into that like luxury designer wear, those are thousands of dollars, and typically those bags are made out of canvas. This is made out of full like grain leather, so the material is really good. And when you travel with something like this, or if you use it every day, the ease of leather just to wipe this off becomes a lot easier. If you have a canvas bag, if you have nylon, like the dirt, like the everyday wear and tear kind of sticks onto it and it's not as easy to clean. That's what I really like about spending that extra premium for this kind of like leather material. They tend to last longer. And the bag itself, it's like beautiful. Even the shoulder straps are leather. They have this nice little band in case you do travel with it. You can just kind of stick that onto your suitcase. And on the inside, it is completely lined with like a microfiber suede cloth. It's nice and soft, and you can actually see my reserve passport kind of waiting on the side in case I do need like any emergency stuff. Maybe if you didn't know about me, I have my Dutch passport as well, which is super dope. So for the bag itself, like I said, this is kind of what I carry on the daily. For example, I always carry like my leftovers. This is literally my lunch, which I'm about to eat after this video, so that kind of goes into there. You can thank my wife for making extra food for me for leftovers. I do carry my water bottle daily, so this isn't really like a tech product, but this Lark water bottle. And what's cool to make it tech-wise, I actually got this from a Snapdragon event. You'll see later on, Snapdragon is obviously the chipset in most like Android devices. This was from their X Elite, which is their laptop line, so that's like kind of a nice little tie-in. For those that are actually wondering, my like daily mix, moving away from tech, lifestyle here, I typically just fill this up with like tap water, and every morning I stick one of these like a little electrolyte mixes into it. I just pick these up at Costco. I also travel with these, so say I'm gone for 3 days, I pack 3 of them in my backpack, and every morning just to have a little electrolyte mix. That's kind of like my go-to. The last like main component in my bag is just this little pouch, which I'll get to, and this Bluetooth speaker, and that is it for like the main compartment. This is just the Marshall Will & 2 Bluetooth speaker. I think it's great. It's like a small form factor. It still has like that iconic amp look, which I think Marshall is known for. It sounds great, and I just keep it in my pack. You never need to know when you need to jam out, listen to music. It's small and portable enough that you can just always fit it in. And obviously being in the content space, this is like my go-to what I travel with in my pack. So this is the Sony A7 CR. Small full frame camera. I like to do a hybrid of both photos and video, so I think that's really where this shines. It's a full-on 61 megapixels, so all the stuff that I post to socials, it's a bit overkill, but say compared to an A7S III or an FX3, which are really more just like video based, I think this is like a great hybrid. And I've just got my Batis 85mm, which just takes some of the silkiest photos. It's still small enough that I want to carry it around. And then when I ever want to, I just literally switch into video mode. This records like in S-Log3, just like both of the cameras that we're shooting on right now. So it has the exact same look, and that's what I really like. So that is the first thing that is just in my pack in case I ever shoot any extra B-roll, some lifestyle stuff around the city. And I also have my secondary DJI mic set. So I typically have the DJI Mic 2 when I travel, when I actually do work, but my first gen has now been demoted as my like daily carry, just in case I need to do any voiceover. What's really nice, you can still just use these as standalones. You don't need to connect it to the camera. I can actually just hold down this button. I've now hit record. You can actually see the little red light on, and this has internal storage. So we'll switch to what this sounds like right now. It's not bad for like voiceover. I use it for, once again, some of the social stuff I need to do. Any sort of edits that I need, I can always record this, whether I'm here in the studio, whether I'm in transit at home. It's just a microphone that always lives on me, and it's always just good to have. Solid creator combo, and I've actually fit it into this Peak Design tech pouch. And this little hack that I've done to kind of keep it protected, I've actually cut away the middle of the tech pouch. You can see some of the frayed edging here, just to make sure all of the stuff fits inside. So that actually zips up like so, and that keeps my camera, so like I've got my video covered as well as like my audio. Inside the top component of the pack, laptop still kind of fits in. So this is my kind of like go-to laptop. I know that I obviously test out a ton of other ones like on the channel, obviously to review, but I do edit in Final Cut, so I find myself moving back to my MacBook usually once I'm done testing the other ones. This is the M4 Max MacBook Pro. I finally, like, this came out at the end of like last year, like October. It has taken me so long to finally like switch all my stuff over. I literally just got this up and running like after CES. So the first thing that I like to do is just put a skin on it to protect it. This one is just from D brand. You can actually see here like on the corner, it's protected the aluminum a bit. It's starting to fray, but it's nice that, you know, that damage is on a $15 skin rather than on like a $3,000 computer. I've got a little sticker on the front, which I think is cool. That's actually like from the VivoBook Bathing Ape collab. If anyone's like a Bape fan, that's pretty dope. And the new thing for this laptop, in case you haven't seen it, do not mind my messy workflow, I just keep everything on the desktop, is nano texture display, which is essentially the anti-reflective coating. So you can either get it in still gloss or this nano texture. If you are somewhere with like lots of natural light, like here in my studio, like in my house, I would recommend it. I personally still think glossy screens look better. They're deeper, they're richer, they're more like vibrant, but I think it's in the end, personal choice. This has a massive like 128 gigs of RAM. This is like top spec. For some reason, I'm not too sure why, I'm still editing in Final Cut. Like it's like 4K footage, it's nothing crazy. I can bog down the timeline, and I'm not too sure if, because I'm not recording like in ProRes. I'm thinking it's some of the adjustment layers that we have used for some of the LUTs and all the color profiles that we have for our stuff, but still, shouldn't bog this down. I'm still trying to like tweak and figure that out. If there's anyone like wiser to figure out why that is happening, please let me know. That shouldn't happen to like a $6,000 machine, but that is my M4 Max MacBook Pro. So next compartment in the bag, this is where I keep some of my essentials as well. So typically I have my smartphone like in my pocket, but if I ever need to keep it, you know, in the bag, it lives there. So we've got my smartphone, smart ring, and headphones of choice. So like I said, I just came from like Unpacked. I've switched on over to the S25 Ultra as like my daily. I'll probably use this for like the next 90 days. It's a good device. Obviously using that and like a MacBook, it's tough. There's no quick way to share like any of the log footage, any of the content that I've taken easily. There's nothing like AirDrop. I have to usually use Google Drive, which is the reality if you're using two different OSs. It is what it is. I've got my full review on this. I'll leave it linked up this way if you do want to check it out, but have been super impressed with it. It's quick, it's snappy, it's a flagship, it rocks from Samsung. And since I'm not technically like a wearables fan, so you can see I'm rocking like my OG mechanical watch on this. There's these two things that kind of work really well. So this is the Samsung Galaxy Ring that I typically have used in the past, and it's great that I'm switching back to a Samsung device now. So if you haven't checked these out before, they're essentially like an activity tracker that instead of wearing like a smartwatch, you can just wear on your finger. So this actively tracks like steps, it tracks heart rate. It doesn't give you like as in-depth information. You can't track like blood oxygen. It doesn't track temperature. It does monitor sleep health. I find that it's not as accurate as an Apple Watch or even say like a Samsung like Galaxy Watch. It just does it, you know, okay. But if you want like an overall like glance or like look at say how active you are, how many steps you're doing, I do think it's a really great alternative. Once again, it pairs with my S25 Ultra great. The one thing I would say, since I do work out a lot like weights wise, gripping say like barbells or like on a bench press, this does get eaten up by like the metal bar. So I typically have to take it off. So it isn't, you know, the most useful if you are like into weightlifting, but if you're into running, if you're into any other things than like using weights, it's good. But this is where these new Beats, Power Beats 2 have really come into play. And technically Beats are owned by Apple. They're very like transparent about that. But what I like about Beats, they pair to Android devices as well. The main new feature of these now track heart rate. So this is technically the first like Apple product other than an Apple Watch to track that. And you can see some of the sensors on the actual headphones themselves. So you do need to put both in to actively track or give you an actual reading. But these are really meant for people that like to work out. They've obviously partnered with a lot of like athletes. I think their like ad campaign, they had LeBron, they had Messi, they had Otani, which I thought was cool. I actually went to the launch of these in New York City to see all the different colorways. It was cool to check out, but obviously, since I am a fan of orange, I think this is the coolest colorway for a pair of headphones. If you're like really into working out, if you're into, you know, Android, if you want like a solid pair of like earbuds, if you're sweating a lot, these now have active noise canceling. They have Apple's like H2 chip. They're actually very similar to AirPods like Pro 2s. The only feature that those don't have is the hearing aid feature. But other than that, they've sounded great in my past like month of using them. They've kind of been like my daily earbuds, since I can kind of switch between like working out. I wear them like in transit when I'm just commuting. I think they're a solid pair, and if you are, once again, a fan of orange, you got to pick these ones up. And these all work really well together within that like ecosystem. Also in my bag, in just one of the slots, I keep my SSD. This is the Lexar SL500. It's a 4 terabyte drive. I find that, you know, since I work with like a videographer, he's hanging out on the B cam right now, just having something to kind of share footage with, it's easy to work off of like a drive. So once we're done shooting for the day, once we're done, say like this footage, we offload it to his computer, we offload it to here, so we can kind of work seamlessly. They're great, they're 4 terabytes. Do not spend the extra money on more storage from Apple, from Samsung, from whoever you end up choosing. Just get a drive for a fraction of the cost. Last compartment up top, which I think is really cool because it's orange. I did not ask Grams to make that, so slightly biased on that end. This is where the end of my essentials live, and what I actually like, this is actually like a nice soft microfiber cloth or material that lines it on the top. We've got the rest of the essentials. So for example, like my keys, which I have, once again, a little orange Haribo gummy that satisfies my orange fixing for my keys. So car keys as well as my condo keys, which are at the front of my condo. We've got my wallet, orange, no surprises there. I spoiled myself with this. It's a Goyard one. I got it actually in Paris for the S24 Ultra launch, so that's kind of cool. We've got a stationary pen, which I actually used while I was filling out some of the applications for my passport. This is from Grovemade. I think it's dope. I'm a real fan of like stationary stuff. This is like all out of titanium, way too expensive, but I did spoil myself since I am a fan. You never know when you need like an OG pen. And if you are a stationary fan, if you like to like twiddle things, this is like my version of like a fidget spinner. This is, you know, what I typically like to do to kind of keep occupied. And last but not least, my poop bag, because Link, you know that I am a proud dog dad. These are also in my pack. These are just little liver bite treats because I do commute daily. Link, do you want a treat? Okay, come on. Oh, big boy has woken up from the nap. So obviously Link, my doggo, does come with me daily. So I do have to keep, his like poop bag in my backpack. I do travel with these treats. They're just these little liver bites. And if you want to see, obviously Link is named after the greatest video game franchise of all time. I will like die on that hill. One of you actually sent me this little dog leash from Zelda. So it's got like the Triforce, it's got all the hearts, which I think is super, super dope. So we walk Link on this like leash which I think is cool. So Link, yeah, does come with me on the daily, and he is the best little doggo when I'm not around. And that's actually why I'm stoked that I won't be traveling for like the next 10, 20 days. I can spend a lot of time with him. Hope you guys enjoyed like my daily like EDC. There's one last thing that I forgot. We're talking about like Zelda. Sometimes I carry around my Nintendo Switch. This is just the Switch Lite. So when I was waiting for my passport, it was like, what, like a 3-hour wait. I was just playing Echoes of Wisdom, which you're actually playing like as Zelda, not so much as Link, but the art style is very similar to Link's Awakening, which that was the very first game for like Game Boy Color, which I got, and that got me hooked onto the franchise. So it's kind of like full circle, all things like Zelda Link related, which I think is cool. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode. I'm gonna go walk Link after this. If you have any other questions, I will leave all the items listed down below, and I'll catch the rest of you in one of my next vids. Peace.